All right, before we start capturing packets and putting the wireless adapter into monitor mode, we need to know exactly what your wireless card is doing. And today we're going to look at one of my favorite lightweight Linux tools for monitoring Wi-Fi in real time, Wavemon. Well, in today's video, we're going to take a look at Wavemon. It's a simple but incredibly useful tool that's built specifically for monitoring wireless network adapters in Linux. So it's really powerful in something like Kali. Now, if you're studying cybersecurity, preparing for that certification, or just trying to understand how your wireless connections behave, Wavemon is one of those tools you'll find yourself coming back to over and over again. So what exactly is Wavemon? Well, Wavemon is a terminal-based wireless monitoring application for Linux, and instead of just showing you signal bars like Windows or Mac, it's going to give you detailed real-time information about your wireless connection. Think of it as a dashboard for your Wi-Fi adapter. It's continuously displaying everything from signal strength to channel information to packet statistics and even your connection quality. So let's get right started with it. To install Wavemon, it's a simple command line. It's sudo apt install Wavemon. So sudo apt install Wavemon, just like that. That'll get us where we want to go. And of course, I forgot the E, but that's okay. We can go Wavemon just like that. Now, I've already got mine installed. It's going to go through and do its little thing and say I'm already upgraded. And then to start it, we're just going to type in Wavemon just like that. And that's going to bring up our connection. Let me minimize this a little bit so we can see what's going on here. Now, there are some decent information that's already coming over our online feed here. Let's start with the obvious right here. We know we're on wireless LAN 1 as opposed to wireless LAN 0. This just means that the interface that we're monitoring right now is wireless LAN 1. We can see our WDEV1, and that's the device identifier used internally by Linux. Then we have that PHY1. This is the physical radio. If you have multiple Wi-Fi adapters, each will have its own PHY, this physical number. I've got two, believe it or not. I've turned one off so that we could do this lab. And then right here, we can see the SSID. Of course, is CKX, which means if you came by my house, you could probably find this out. But you know, just for giggles, we know that that is in fact what we're looking at. Now, if we scroll down a little bit, we can see our link quality is actually at 100%. This is really good. That means a score of 77 means the connection is excellent. Think of this as kind of like your Wi-Fi health meter, right? If I kept on getting like 69 out of 70 or 68 out of 70, I wouldn't be too concerned. If I got like, I don't know, 15 out of 70 or even, 50 out of 70, I'd have some concerns. I'd be like, okay, what's going on with my signal here? What's causing this degradation? All right. Now, if we scroll down right here, we see a neg 34, neg 32, all the way to neg 38. This is probably one of the most important numbers on our screen. This is where the wireless strength is measured. And we want the closer to 0 as possible, which means every time it's going down, that's actually a good thing, okay? A good rule of thumb is neg 30 to about neg 39 is excellent. Neg 40 is strong, and it just kind of just declines from there, right? But we want about a neg 30 to a neg 38 is what I prefer, right? And that just means that we've got a good wireless signal across the board. We're not having too many issues whatsoever. Now, if we look at these packet counts, you can see here that we've got a receive of 20K right there. This is the packets received by the network. Then we have our transmit. That's our TX right there. That's the packets transmitted to the network. We have our drop. That's the packets that have been, well, they've been discarded. They've got some issues with them. And then we have failed. Right now, failed packets right there. That means the transmissions attempts did not exceed. This is where we want very, very low, right? If you think about it from a perspective, right? And it even gives us right here with a drop of 0.05%. That's really, really good. Anything below 1%, you're rocking and rolling. You're not going to have too many issues. There is always going to be some drop. It doesn't matter how good your system is. I think the lowest I've ever seen is 0.01%. Which is fine, but I like to keep it about 0.1 or lower, to be honest. Not really 1%. 1%, you're starting to look at some issues, but it also could be that you're just far away from your Wi-Fi hub, right? If you've got stretching out your signal, the farther you get away from your I don't know, your router, your wireless signal, right? the more likely this number is to go up. It doesn't necessarily mean that you've got a bad signal. It just means that your throughput's going to go lower because those errors have to be retransmitted every time, which is going to cause some issues as you go through that. All right, now we can see here that I've got a mode, which is managed. Now, managed mode just tells us that the adapter is operating like a normal client connected to the Wi-Fi. There are other modes, right? There's monitor mode, which we probably will do a little bit later. There's access point mode, which is AP, and then there's ad hoc mode. For pretty much anybody that's just checking out their wireless and what you're doing right now, managed is probably where we want to be. And then we can see that we are connected, and we've got that little address right there. This is our MAC address to the wireless access point. Not a big deal. We can see my time right there. And then inactive seconds is 48 milliseconds. Not too shabby if you're really paying attention to all of that. Now, if we dive headlong into the Wi-Fi, we can actually see our frequency at 2457 megahertz. I can see my channel right there. We can see I'm operating on 20 megahertz. I don't know if you can see that right there with my little point. That's okay. We can erase that. There we go. Right, so we can see that I've got a width of 20 megahertz, and I'm operating on 2 bands. And then, again, my average signal strength, which is basically this right here. Okay, that's the average that I'm getting, which is neg 37 dBm. I actually prefer the average signal strength as opposed to this. The only time I want to pay attention to this is say it pumped up to like neg 80 or neg 99 all of a sudden and then drop back down. I'd want to know why. That could be a sign of some interference. It could be a sign of some signal degradation. It could actually also be a sign that my Wi-Fi adapter is going bad. More often than not, it's just a little bit of interference if it goes that high. All right, we can see the interval. What I really want to pay attention to right here is this right here. Our receive weight is 65 megabits per second, and my transmit rate is, well, it was 52, now it's 58.5. Not too bad. I can see my transmit power is 30 dBm. That is great. That's exactly what I want to see right there. Don't confuse your transmit power with your receive level. Think about receive as being what I'm receiving from the system, which again, closer to 0 is always better. This should always be about 30. If it's not at 30, you might have a setting on your system turned down, or maybe you've got some software going on in the background to stop some interference going on. But personally, neg 30 dB, or I should say 30 dB, is right where we want it to be. Now, I do want to point out this retry short range right here is 7/4. These are retransmissions, right? So we all know that wireless isn't going to be perfect. We know that anybody walking by between my laptop and, say, my access point, they could get in the way, and that's fine. So sometimes frames just need to be resent. Sometimes they're corrupted. Sometimes they're going up. What I don't want to see is large numbers, right? Large numbers could basically say that we've got a really weak signal. Maybe I'm too far away from it. Maybe I've got, I don't know, maybe I've got some interferences coming off another device. Whatever the case may be, 7/4, not too shabby. I'll take that one right off the bat. That's not too bad. Then we have this RTS or CTS, and that is off. This is request to send, clear to send. It's a mechanism used to reduce the collisions that we might see, and we've got that turned off. Most home networks, we're going to leave this disabled. If I was on an enterprise network and I was seeing a lot of issues, I might decide to turn that on, but for what I'm doing in my house, don't need it. And then we have our fragmentation. Fragmentation splits large frames into smaller ones, and we've got that turned off. This is more common if we were in an older network. I'm running, I think, Wi-Fi 6 in most cases across my network, so I really don't need it. It's rarely used today. Don't think that this is a good thing to turn on. It could cause some more issues within your network than helpful. Don't really want to put that on unless you're in a really old legacy type of network. All right. Okay, let's get to the bottom of the screen because I feel like this is important. All of these buttons way down here. Okay, that right there. That's what we're looking at. That is basically some information. So I can literally press F1, and that's going to give me the screen that I'm already on. But if I press F2, we can see the L list. Let me get rid of this little pencil right here. There you go. And you can see that I have that level histogram. Okay, this is history, this is graphs. Now, I let this run for a few minutes because honestly, it doesn't do us any good if we're just staring at a black screen. So one of the things I like about this is instead of showing only the current signal, right, it begins to graph what's going on over time. So it can help me troubleshoot what's going on with that. We'll typically see some scrolling graphs, which we do right here. in this neg 32 to neg 50 range, right? And this will tell me things like signal strength, link quality, noise levels. If I was to see some dots down here, right, that'd be inclusive of, hey, this could be some problems. We want this to be exactly what we're seeing right here, right? We want that neg 30, and we can see it's going right there, which is pretty much matching what we saw on our information screen right over here. Now, suppose you're walking around an office building and you're starting to conduct that site survey across your office building, right? As you move farther away from the next point, you're going to start to see the signal decrease a little bit. Say every 30 seconds, your connection experiences a little bit of interference. This graph is going to make that pattern immediately obvious because we're going to be able to see all that juicy information as we start to see little signals down here, and then we start to see things go up and down. And so we can actually start to track where that signal is coming from. Now, this isn't a professional tool, but it's great if, like, I'm trying to go into an office, or maybe I'm in a conference room and I'm hearing a lot of complaints from people saying, hey, I don't have access. I don't have internet over there. We can kind of go in there and see how bad the signal really is to kind of get a better bead on what's going on. All right. Next one I'm going to show you is F3. That's our scan right there. Now, this feature allows Wavemon to search nearby wireless networks instead of just monitoring the one we're currently connected to. However, you can notice here that we've got this screen requires CapNet admin permission. So let's take a second and talk about this. Linux doesn't allow normal users to perform certain networking operations because that could affect how other users see the network. So instead of giving every program full administrative permissions, Linux breaks permissions into smaller capabilities, and one of those is CapNet admin. So obviously, the easiest way to fix this is just to go in. We're going to press F10 to quit. I'm going to do a sudo wavemon, and then that should take care of our issue. Let's see if it does. Let's go back into F3. And there we go. We're starting to scan for some data now, which is where we want to be. So again, just need those advanced permissions to go into it. And it didn't take that long. We can see that Wavemon is now actively discovering nearby wireless networks. Every row on the screen represents a different wireless access point that our adapter can now detect. It also tells us the SSID, so we can actually see within here that we've got an SSID of TIC. We have GKX. We can actually see this one right here. Oh, kind of messed up and moved on me, but that's okay. It's going to update as it goes through. Okay, so we can see all of that. And the SSID is simply the name the users see when they're trying to choose a network. And we can actually see that some of them are hidden, which is actually a good thing. Now, the next column over with all these lines right here, I'm not going to go through and circle it, right? We can see this is the BSSID. This is the unique MAC address of that wireless radio. So you got to remember SSID, that's the name. BSSID, that's the specific access point broadcasting that network. And if you can kind of tell right here that we've got, let me see if I can find one. Here's a perfect example, right? We can see this one with TIC. It's got a 6.4 at the end. And then we see this one over here. It's got a 4.1. So those are two of access points. They're both presenting with TIC as an SSID, but they're actually two different access points, and they've got that MAC address associated with it. Now, the next one right here, we've got this 100% da-da-da all the way down. Oh, let me grab my little pen here, right? We can see this one right here. This is the percentage estimate, and beside it, we can actually see the actual dBm, right? So, for example, neg 38 dBm, not too bad. We're seeing a neg 64 right there. That's okay. It's good, right? Neg 74, if we got something that high, that would be fair. Realistically, we really don't want anything above, or I should say below, a neg 70. We really want our stuff to be well, a little bit closer to that. And then after that, we can see what channel it's operating up. After that, we can see the channel that it's operating on, and we can see some channels 64, some 10s, right? Notice that our scan includes both 2.4 gigahertz channels. That's where the 10 comes in, but we're also seeing some 5 gigahertz channels. That's where that 112, that 132, right, that 165, those are all 5 gig channels. So being able to identify the operating channel, it's useful when we're trying to diagnose some interference problems. And that pretty much tells us what we're operating on. It also tells us, like, if we can see this, I wish I could pause this scan, but you can see here, for instance, that channel 10 is directly tied into 2.4, and we can see right here, channel 100 is directly tied into 5 right? So easy way to see it if you're trying to back that out or trying to figure out, hey, I don't remember. It doesn't really matter. You can figure that out. All right. Then we have our static count. The STA, that's station, right? So we see our station count. This means clients' devices currently associated with that access point, which is kind of cool because that means that Wavemon is observing so many stations connected to each one of those access points. So we have a general idea of what's going on with that. And that is right here. We can see 31 stations associated with this one. Then we see 1 over here. We can see 5 over here. And that's those individual devices associated with it. So you can kind of tell just from that, hey, I've got quite a few devices connected into each one of those access points. Now, you'll notice some labels associated with that, right? We see radio measure. I think we see one of those. We see spectrum management. We see ESS. Now, ESS is extended service set. That means the network is part of the standard infrastructure for Wi-Fi. Not really a big thing. We just know that it's not on ad hoc. Then we have the radio measure. This indicates that we're supporting that 802.11 radio resource management. We have spectrum management. You can kind of see that on the far right. This helps access points comply with that regulatory requirement that manage the channel, right? Especially on the 5 gigahertz. And then finally, we have the bottom status bar. Now we can see 17 right there. Let me circle that for you guys. We can see that 17 right here for total. That 17, all that means is that Wavemon has detected 17 different wireless networks. Not too bad, right? We can see 4 hidden networks. Then we can see our top 3 channels are 10, 144, and 36. That's all that's telling us is those are a little bit, I don't want to say crowded, but they're being used. They're being used. Now, of course, I forgot one right here, and that's at 10 over 9. What that really means is that we have 10 on the 5 gig and 9 on the 2 gig. So really not that much of a change on that one. All right. So a lot of information on this little screen, a lot of great stuff. All right, let's move over to F7 now, and this is our preferences right here. Now, the preference menu lets us customize our Wavemon behavior, our software's behavior. If we wanted to make some changes, we could do that here, right? And all I would do is literally press the over arrow, and you can see that I changed my wireless 1 over to 0, and I'm going to change it back because I just don't need to do it on that one, right? But we can make those changes as we go through. And it's very simple to do if we wanted to. We could just scroll down and we can make those changes however we want. Not a lot to do here, but it is important to understand where it's coming from. Now, if I wanted to, I could go to F8 and you can see that the help menu, it says don't panic. Not a lot seeing over here. Honestly, the best place to get help for something like this, for this program, is just to look it up online. It's usually the best. And then if I hit F9, I can see about it. It'll give me all that great stuff. It can tell me I'm running the version. And of course, F10 is then quit. All right, that is Wavemon. Hopefully you got something out of it. Hopefully it was educational. Until next time, I'm Dr. K.